Welcome back to PGA Updates Hub. Wyndham Clark is now a two-time US Open champion. That sentence sounds clean and simple. It's not. Because the trophy he is holding right now came out of one of the most debated weeks golf has seen in years. Before you decide what you think about it, stick around because we are going to walk through every piece of this story using only what actually happened on camera and on record. No guessing, no invented voices, just the real timeline. To understand why this title feels so loaded, you have to go back further than Shinnecock Hills. You have to go back to March 2024 at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Clark's drive at Bay Hill found thick rough on the 18th hole. Television cameras caught him pressing the heavy flange of his wedge directly behind the ball multiple times before his shot. To a lot of viewers, it looked like more than a casual practice motion. Rules officials reviewed the footage in the scoring tent and cleared him on the spot. No penalty was issued. That moment did not disappear after the broadcast ended. Veteran golf writer Michael Bamberger kept thinking about it long after everyone else moved on. More than a year later, he wrote that if Clark had truly understood the spirit behind the rulebook, he would have watched that tape himself and admitted it looked bad. Bamberger went further and laid out exactly how he believed the penalty should have been scored. 2 strokes for improving the lie. 1 stroke for playing from the wrong spot. 1 more for not putting the grass back the way he found it. 4 strokes in his view that were never applied. Clark addressed the moment himself afterward, and his own words are worth hearing in full because they tell you a lot about how he sees scrutiny. He admitted he would need to be more careful about how things looked on camera going forward. But he also said something that stuck with a lot of people inside the sport. He pointed out that he had been doing the same motion for years before anyone called him out on it. That sentence did not need a villain to turn heads. It planted a question that never fully went away. Was this a one-time slip under bright lights, or was it simply the first time the lights caught something that had been happening all along? Then came June of last year. It's the 2025 US Open at Oakmont. Clark missed the cut. His tournament ended early, and so did his patience. In the locker room afterward, he destroyed 2 antique wooden lockers in frustration. Oakmont is one of the most historic clubs in American golf, and the damage did not sit well with the membership. Clark was effectively barred from the property until he made things right. According to reporting at the time, a senior USGA official privately said he would have banned Clark from the following year's Open entirely over the incident. That ban never actually happened. Clark eventually apologized publicly and made private restitution to the club. The story faded. But it left a mark on how people talked about him heading into the next major season. 1 month before Shinnecock, another smaller moment added fuel to the slow burn. At the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson Clark found himself in a wet area off the fairway and requested a lengthy ruling for relief from what he argued was an unplayable mud situation. The process dragged on, and several observers in golf media noted how methodical and almost ceremonial the whole thing felt for what looked like a routine decision. On its own, it was nothing. Stacked on top of Bay Hill and Oakmont, it became one more data point for people already watching closely. Now, 2 Shinnecock Hills, and the moment that actually exploded the conversation. Round 3. Clark is building what will become a commanding lead. His tee shot on the par 3 17th hole sails badly left into thick fescue rough. A television camera platform sits close enough to his ball that he calls for a rules official. The official arrives. Under the rules, Clark qualifies for free relief from the obstruction. That part is not in dispute. What happens next is what got replayed thousands of times. Clark clears loose grass from the area before dropping. He drops the ball from knee height. It rolls back toward the camera stand. Drops again. It rolls back again, because both drops return to the obstruction. The rules allowed him to simply place the ball exactly where he wanted it. A USGA official stood beside him through the entire process and said nothing, because nothing in the rulebook had been broken. Clark chipped onto the green from his new spot and saved par. He carried that lead into Sunday. And almost immediately, golf fans online started asking the same question in different words. Was this within the rules? Yes. Did it feel fair to people watching at home who do not get rules officials walking every fairway with them? It's clearly not to a lot of viewers who flooded social media comparing it to lawn care more than golf. Sunday itself added a completely different layer to this story that had nothing to do with rules at all. Clark walked into the final round with a 6-shot lead over a group that included world number 1 Scottie Scheffler. The Shinnecock crowd made their feelings about him obvious from the very first holes. Multiple fans were ejected by police for heckling him, including one incident where someone shouted at him right before a tee shot. Other fans were removed for shouting things meant to rattle him mid-swing. Reports from the grounds described fans actively cheering when his shots went wrong and going quiet when he played well. This was an American player on American soil at the tournament meant to crown the nation's champion, and a large portion of the gallery wanted him to fail. In the days that followed, prominent Golf Channel analyst Eamon Lynch spoke out forcefully, but his target was not Clark's integrity. His target was the crowd itself. Lynch called Long Island golf fans a stain on the sport and pointed to the abuse directed at international act players during last year's Ryder Cup at Bethpage as part of the same pattern. He argued that Bethpage should lose its scheduled return date for a future PGA championship because of how consistently unruly the fan behavior has become in that region. He even suggested golf may need to adopt the strict no-phone policy used at Augusta National to get control of the problem. That is a real and serious conversation about fan conduct at major championships. It is a different conversation than whether Clark's win itself should be questioned. So where does that leave the actual title? The USGA has no mechanism to reverse a result over a ruling that was reviewed and approved by an official in real time. The 17th hole drop was legal under the rules as written, even if it looked uncomfortable on camera. The Bay Hill incident from 2024 was reviewed and cleared at the time and stayed that way regardless of what was written about it later. The Oakmont locker damage happened after Clark's tournament had already ended and was handled privately between him and the club. None of these things individually broke a rule that carried a penalty in the moment it happened. What they add up to is something messier than a simple verdict. It is a pattern of moments where Clark kept finding himself at the center of attention for reasons beyond his actual ball striking. A wedge that looked like it pressed too hard. A drop that looked like it rolled too conveniently. Temper that boiled over in a historic clubhouse. A hostile home crowd that turned a national championship into something closer to an away game. 2 major titles earned through all of it. Clark has not hidden from any of this. After winning at Shinnecock, he said directly that the crowd clearly did not want him there. He said some of the criticism following Oakmont was fair, and that he hoped to win back fans he had lost along the way. Whether that is enough to change how people see him going forward is something every golf fan will answer differently. What do you think? Does a player deserve every benefit the rulebook allows him even when it looks bad on television? Or does golf's honor system mean something more than simply staying inside the lines drawn by an official standing next to you? Drop your take in the comments below and let us know where you land on this one. If you want more breakdowns like this one straight from the facts with no spin and no invented drama, make sure you are. Subscribe to PGA Updates Hub. We will be back with more as this story keeps developing because golf is not done talking about Wyndham Clark, and neither are we.